Welcome back to Talking Shop, the Old Testament edition. We are on proper 27. It is Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. Bob, would you give us the 10-second pitch as to why we should preach the Old Testament this week?
Because here we have a God who is actually there. He is actually there and present for his people to save. We see this in his works of old. We see this in the works that he's done in Christ. And he still works through these means, through water and word and bread and wine, so that we might be his people.
Let's get after it.
In every way, yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the King.
Welcome back to Talking Shop, the Old Testament edition. We are in Exodus chapter 3. Bob, would you give us some context to help us get our bearings?
This is the inauguration of that event where Israel will be delivered from their slavery in Egypt through the working of God. Moses, we have all of his backstory filled in. He was born. There was an infanticide. He was rescued from it. He tried to deliver the Israelites by his own hand by killing a taskmaster, was kicked out, and he's living it up as a shepherd over there with his father-in-law Jethro and his wife and his kids, and he's just kicking back, relaxing, and then God disrupts his entire life by sending him to be a part of this great story, which is salvation.
Good. Let's get into the text. I'll probably take it 5 verses at a time like we did when we translated.
Yep.
And talk about it. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near, take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground.
Yeah. Holy weird. I think it's kind of interesting that the fire is like a living thing, but it does not consume or kill the bush. Mm-hmm. And so you have this juxtaposition. You have an eater which cannot, which will not consume. And so it's this kind of eternal image, this theophany of God, you know. So
I think we probably all take for granted these Old Testament theophanies, these Old Testament appearances of the pre-incarnate Christ, right? That it's kind of natural and normal to us.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I mention that to my members in passing, because I'm taking it for granted, like it's an assumed, and they're like, wait a minute, what? So you guys want to unpack that briefly? Christ's appearances in the Old Testament?
It's profound that the second person of the Holy Trinity is the one who is speaking, because that's who shows up to interact with people. And he's there, not looking like you would expect him to look, but he is Yahweh.
Yeah.
He is Israel's God, and he has heard his people, which is an amazing thing. A lot of times I think people conceive of God either as just being some sort of distant figure, or maybe perhaps in our American context, the deist God, deism of the founding fathers of the United States. Like, he set it all in motion and then he took off. And actually, God is aware of what's going on with his people. He hears their cries. Not only does he hear them, he acts to deliver them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's easy for people to spiritualize their religion.
Yeah.
And so when God shows up in this very physical way, it's very alarming, you know. We have this idea that the whole goal of religion is to leave this body,
Yeah.
you know, and go up to the spiritual realm.
Right.
And that and that I guess death is a friend of that, or
That's
something.
Platonic
It's
philosophy.
literally Platonism.
Yeah.
Yeah, the eidos, the world of the forms. Shed this lesser so that you could have the greater. And I think that's a very common belief.
And it's completely wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a physicality
To the
our
point
belief.
that sometimes when we preach about the resurrection, people could get upset. Even lifelong church-going people can be like, what do you mean it's not all about heaven?
Right.
Well, explain what you mean by heaven.
Yeah.
If you're Casper the Friendly Ghost sitting around on a cloud playing a harp,
Yeah.
that's different than being embodied creatures that when God saw that what he'd made was good, and he's actually determined to dwell among his people again in this creaturely way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think God delights in the physical, and that can be weird. Of course, we see that chiefly in Jesus Christ, but I think you're onto something there.
But that's who's here. I mean,
Yeah,
think about
no,
even
yeah,
his
yeah,
name,
yeah,
Yahweh saves.
Yeah.
Well, that's his work,
Yeah.
is to hear and deliver his people.
Yeah.
It was then, it is now, and it always will be.
I think that's always the key question is, what do you mean by heaven? And oftentimes the response is, well, heaven. And I'm like, no, unpack what you mean by that. And like what it is that you're envisioning.
Yeah.
Because what you're envisioning may or may not line up with the biblical text.
That's right.
And then I always take them back to Genesis and God's good creation until it was very good, right? And that it is a restoration
Yep.
of that very good creation.
Yep.
And it's a restoration plus, right? It's not just trees and a garden in Revelation, but a whole city.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe summed up with the last two words of verse 5, as we have it as verse 5, holy ground.
Holy ground.
So holy ground. There's that idea.
There's something that's physical
Yeah.
that is holy.
Yeah, separate.
That's a big thing about the Christian faith
Yeah.
and the biblical faith versus every other world religion. It happened within the context of human history. There's so many that you would, it's not like you could go ask an ancient Babylonian, well, when was it that Marduk had his great battle?
Oh, right.
And what year did that take place?
Yeah.
What? I mean, no, our God came down and comes down regularly and is actually engaged in the affairs of human history to deliver and save his people. He did it here, 1400-ish BC.
Yeah.
He did it at Bethlehem. He did it at the cross. I mean, he actually interacts with his people's real life.
He did it with you at the altar.
That's right.
At the font.
Yes, our God is not within the realm of myth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is not once upon a time
Yeah.
in a galaxy far, far away.
Right,
Any
right.
of that. This is actual, real, historical stuff.
Right. Verse 6. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites.
All the ites.
And now, behold, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
I think there's a really great connection to the gospel lesson for today. Just in this section, the Sadducees are trying to trap Jesus with this question of a woman whose husband died and the brothers had her, and whose husband shall they be, because they want to point out the ridiculousness of the physicality of it all in relation to heaven. They don't believe in the resurrection. And I think it's interesting is that the Sadducees are enslaved by Hellenism, by this Greek Platonic worldview. And so you have them oppressed by this forced synthesis or syncretism with this worldview and their beliefs, and it caused them to doubt and disbelieve in the living God who gives a living hope to living people. And this is why Jesus' response to them is he's not the God of the dead or the living. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He was the God, And so, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are still alive, And so I think that's an interesting connection between these two readings. What do you guys think about that?
Absolutely agree.
Good.
Yeah. There's no past tense with God.
Right.
And that also means there's no past tense for you in faith.
Yeah.
Because Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, Jacob,
Yeah.
they're alive.
Yeah.
Through faith.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting talking about that historical aspect, the creatureliness of it all. When he says the children of Israel, he's not talking about a nation, like a nation state, like we think of
Yeah.
like a political entity or unit.
Yeah.
This is a family of a real person,
Yeah.
Israel, who wrestled with God not that many chapters ago,
Yeah.
if you're reading through the Torah in its entirety.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Verse 11. But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" He said, "But I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain." Then Moses said to God, "If I come to the people of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am." And he said, "Say this to the people of Israel, 'I am has sent me to you.'" God also said to Moses, "Say this to the people of Israel, 'The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and thus I am to be remembered throughout all generations.'"
Yeah.
There's some great stuff in there. You've
I-
got baptismal imagery
Yeah. Good.
that God's placed his name upon his people.
Yeah. Good.
Secondly, you've got prayer,
Yeah.
that God has actually given us his name that we would call upon it in every trouble, pray, praise, and give thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much going on in there.
Yeah, and I think it's just to kind of continue on a point. I don't mean to labor it too much, but like, why does Moses ask for a sign? It's probably because the Hebrews, who have been enslaved for over 400 years, are living in this strange spot where the Egyptians have a physicality to their gods. They can look at them, they can point at the idol, they can see the temple, they can point at the priests, and the Hebrews don't have any of that. They just have faith in the God of Abraham who spoke to him. And so they're living in a world of this physicality of the deities, and then Moses, knowing this, is like, yeah, they're gonna ask for a sign. They're gonna ask for some proof because they live in a world of proofs.
Yeah.
And so what's the proof? And his proof is his name, is the revelation of his name, which is his presence. Mm-hmm. And that hits on sacramental things as well. Mm-hmm. And so what does it mean to physically bear on yourself the name?
It's huge.
It's huge.
And they're in slavery.
Yeah.
There's a very real physical oppression.
Yeah, absolutely. It defines their whole existence.
And so they're asking for a very physical God to deliver them from this very physical oppression.
Yeah, because in the ancient worldview, like when two nations went to war, whoever won, their gods won. And so they're slaves. So clearly, the Egyptians have a bragging right. Our deities beat up your one deity.
Right.
And so there's, even if they didn't believe that, it's still a nagging, persistent, thing that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you, like we were talking about in the first 5 verses, you have this very physical burning bush.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a precursor, a foreshadowing of the incarnation.
Yeah.
Right? And God taking on flesh.
Yes. Yes.
Dwelling among us.
Yeah.
And dying for us.
Yeah, well,
Right?
I think you did a really good thing there with dwelling among us. That John 1:14, the word skene is the same word as tabernacle. But then I pulled this out too. John 1, verse 18, no one has ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's side. He has made him known through the Word made flesh. You know, so I think, yeah, maybe trucking in your sermon, you know, where John says, you want to know where Jesus came from? You know, he's God from all eternity. That'd be an interesting connection point. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what does that mean for your people in the pews?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
How does this very physical taking on flesh God interact with us today?
Yeah.
Post-ascension.
Yeah, good.
Right?
For the people of Israel, God is willing to let his reputation rest on his deeds for their blessing and their salvation. The sense that you'll know that I'm with you. This is the sign that I will give to you. You'll worship God on this mountain. In other words, they're going to be free.
Yeah.
And the response of the freed person in faith is to worship God. There's a great New Testament connection there as well, too. So, no, we're not on Calvary's holy mountain now.
Right.
But actually, anytime we gather around the gifts of God, we are as those people who have been set free by faith.
I like that.
For the Israelite, God's willing to let his trustworthiness rest on what he would do for them. He says, this will be a sign for you.
Yeah.
He does that a lot.
Yeah.
And his signs always point to his character and who he is.
Yeah.
That he's worth trusting. Because there is the only value and benefit of faith is the object of faith.
Yeah.
And so he's not willing to just say, just trust me on this one, but trust me as I do something amazing that you will be able to see who I am.
Boy, there's a lot there. There's a lot in that.
I was going to jump back to what does this mean for our people, right? The sacraments, that God takes water and the word and puts it upon you, right? He puts his name upon you, claims you as his own, and gives you his very body and blood in the bread and wine, right? And this aspect of gathering you together. You're a new people, right? Like, look around you. Yes, if you've been in the church for a minute, you know all of these people, and you consider them friends and now family because you've been here a while. But like, take a minute and think about how weird it is. You wouldn't otherwise know these people apart from this unity that God has brought us in Christ. And so in many ways, this exodus from Egypt is a forming of a new people, right? And in your baptism, gathering around the word, you are formed into a new people.
Yeah, it may be renewed, you know, because they were his people. That's what he's saying.
Right.
You know, I've heard the cry of my people.
Right.
But they've been totally institutionalized as slaves. They've completely forgotten who they were. Like they don't remember their identity at all. And he says, I'm going to make all things new.
Right.
What's that, Revelation?
Yeah.
Behold, I make all things new. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
And you could also tie it into the gospel text of whose wife is she?
Yeah.
Right? Well, whose wife is the church?
Yeah.
Christ's.
Yeah. It's not all these gross little details. Yeah. Not the husband of a dead man.
From heaven he came and sought her to be his holy bride. With his own blood he bought her, and for her life he died.
Hey, that's a pretty good, you should put that to music. Yeah, good. I think that's good. I think that's enough I think there's plenty there to put together for a sermon.
Good. Anything else in this text?
No, I don't think so.
Not for now.
All right. If you would, please subscribe on YouTube. Leave some comments down below. Tell us what you did with the text. Give us some thoughts. Tell us something we missed. Share this with another preacher. Check out all of the great resources over at 1517.org, and God bless your preaching.